When we think of lost civilizations, we usually picture something like Atlantis, right? A legendary city swallowed by the sea in some big, fiery apocalypse. But today, we're not talking about a myth. We're opening a real-life cold case. We're talking about a civilization bigger than ancient Egypt and Mesopotamia combined that didn't get conquered, didn't burn down, didn't sink. It just went quiet. This is the incredible mystery of the Indus Valley Civilization.
Just look at this number. 5 million. And listen, that's the low estimate. At its absolute peak, this was the population of one of the largest and most advanced societies in the ancient world. A sprawling, sophisticated culture. And then, somehow, in the span of just a couple of hundred years, they were gone. Their cities, these places were amazing, with some of the world's first sewer systems, all laid out in perfect grids, were just empty. There are no signs of a massive war, no mass graves, just this eerie, total silence.
And this quote from the researchers who've spent their lives on this, man, it just perfectly captures the whole mystery, doesn't it? After 100 years of digging, the main takeaway is still the same. There's no smoking gun, no evidence of a violent end. It is a disappearance on a scale that is it's almost impossible to wrap your head around. Okay, so to really get the scale of this whole thing, we first have to understand the victim in our case. Who exactly were the people of the Indus Valley, and what did their world look like before it all just emptied out? First off, look at their staying power. This was not some flash-in-the-pan kingdom. They were around for 2,000 years. Just to put that in perspective, the entire Roman Empire lasted for about half that time. For 2 millennia, this was one of the most successful and stable cultures on the entire planet. And it's not just that they were around for a long time, they were huge. We're talking about a civilization spread across an area larger than Western Europe, with thousands of towns and villages. Their 2 biggest cities, Harappa and Mohenjo-daro, were absolute marvels of urban planning, at a time when, London wasn't even a thought. This was a true Bronze Age superpower. But this is where the story gets really, really weird. Because when archaeologists look for the usual signs of an ancient empire, they come up with, nothing. No giant defensive walls around their cities, no big stockpiles of weapons. Their art doesn't show any scenes of battles or glorious conquests. And maybe strangest of all, no giant fancy palaces or royal tombs for powerful kings. So you've got this incredible contrast, right? While Egypt and Mesopotamia were busy building pyramids and monuments to their god kings and warrior pharaohs, the Indus Valley people were building something else entirely: incredible public infrastructure. They had standardized weights and measures across a massive area, vast trade networks, and, yes, citywide sanitation. They seem to have been a civilization built on commerce, not conquest. So what do you do with that? You have a peaceful, incredibly advanced, and massive civilization that just vanishes. If it wasn't wiped out by war, what could possibly bring it down? Well, investigators now have a prime suspect in this 4,000-year-old cold case, a catastrophic change in the one thing that gave them life.
This is the leading theory right now, and honestly, it's pretty chilling. The idea is that the Indus Valley wasn't beaten by an enemy army, but by the sky itself. A massive, prolonged, centuries-long drought that just slowly and methodically choked their civilization to death.
And this chart, it's based on recent climate modeling. It shows you just how devastating the drop in rainfall was. You can see the difference between the rainfall during their glory days and during the decline. We're talking a 20 to 30% drop. For a society that's built entirely on farming, a drought that lasts for centuries, that's not just a problem, that's a game over event. The crops would just fail, year after year after year. And get this, we can actually see the evidence from space. Satellite images show these ghost channels, these scars on the landscape. A huge river system, the Ghagar Hakra, used to flow right through the heart of their territory. And today, it's just desert. Their very lifeblood of their civilization literally dried up and blew away. So you see, this wasn't one sudden apocalyptic event. It was a slow, grinding collapse, a horrible feedback loop of disaster. The monsoons get weaker, which means the rivers start to dry up, which means the crops fail. And suddenly, these incredible cities, these marvels of the ancient world, they become impossible to live in. The people had no choice. They had to leave. But wait, a dying climate, that's a huge piece of the puzzle for sure, but it doesn't explain the other, maybe even weirder part of this mystery.
It's the one thing that could give us all the answers we're looking for. Their words.
This is the Indus script. It's been found on thousands of little seals and tablets. We have over 400 unique symbols, totally clear and distinct. And after more than 100 years of the world's best minds trying to crack it, we can't read a single word. We don't know what they call themselves. We don't know their gods, their leaders, if they even had them. Their voice is just completely gone. And this just raises an absolutely profound question. See, normally, when a group of people moves or migrates, they take their language and their writing with them. It survives, it changes, it evolves. But the Indus script, it seems to have done something unique in all of human history. It just stopped. Unlike almost every other ancient script, it didn't evolve into a later language. The people who scattered eastward seem to have just stopped writing. It's as if the entire concept of writing was abandoned along with their cities. It's like a total cultural memory wipe. So, where does all this leave us? We've profiled the victim, we've examined the crime scene, and we've followed the main lead. Now it's time to review the case file and figure out what the final verdict might be. All right, first things first, let's clear the table of some old, outdated theories. For a long time, people just assumed they were wiped out by a big invasion, but modern archaeology and genetics have pretty much debunked that. The migrations happened after the cities were already emptying out. And there's also no real evidence for some kind of massive plague. The skeletons just don't show it. This brings us right back to the climate theory. And if that's what happened, well, this quote here frames the terrifying relevance for us today. The Indus Valley isn't just some ancient history puzzle. It's a 4,000-year-old warning, a case study for a problem we are facing right now all over the planet. But there is one last haunting possibility to consider. What if their greatest strength, that peaceful, cooperative society without powerful kings or armies, was also their fatal flaw? Think about it. A society that doesn't have a king to force people to stay and fight for a dying city might just watch its people leave. Maybe it wasn't a collapse. Maybe it was a choice, a rational decision made by millions of people to simply walk away from a system that didn't work anymore. So that's the final question for you. Was it a collapse? A great civilization brought to its knees by a dying monsoon, a tragic victim of the same climate forces that are reshaping our world? Or was it an exodus, a quiet, deliberate dispersal by 5 million people who simply decided to abandon their cities and find a new way to live? Collapse or exodus? What's your verdict?
100. Thank you for watching. Subscribe if you want for more, and share it with fellow mystery lovers.